DBT stands for Data Build Tool, and it's an open source tool that is used by companies to transform their data in their data warehouses. And it's used by massive companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia. If you want to get into data analytics, engineering, cloud, this is something that you probably should learn. But before we talk about DBT, we need to understand how companies used to handle data transformations. And that is where traditional ETL comes into play. Now, ETL, if you don't know what it is, stands for extract, transform, and load. Step one is extracting. So you pull data from your own source systems. Maybe it's things like MySQL, maybe your Salesforce CRM or Google Analytics, basically any of your operational systems. Step two, you transform it. The thing is, your raw data is not usually analysis ready. You can't take the raw output. You've got to join tables together. You need to aggregate metrics, clean up the data, reshape it. Transformations happened in separate infrastructure. So like running Python on EC2 instances or Spark clusters or Airflow pipelines. This happened on separate infrastructure to step three, which is your data warehouse, the load state. From there, you'd push your clean data into a data warehouse, things like Redshift. Transformation was happening outside of the data warehouse on different compute. So because of that, you needed to manage the infrastructure, provision servers, scale clusters, monitor jobs. And to be honest, this made sense when data warehouses were expensive and they were slow. You did the heavy work somewhere else to keep the cost down. Then cloud data warehouses came along and that changed everything. Things like Snowflake launched in 2014. BigQuery came along. Redshift got a lot more powerful. And these data warehouses right here, they could scale compute independently from storage. So they could query petabytes of data in literal seconds, which previously wasn't possible. So the approach flipped from ETL to ELT. Extract, load, transform. Now, extract and load happen first, and you get the raw data into the warehouse basically as fast as possible without any transformation. You just dump it in. The difference is you transform within the warehouse itself. And the switch happened because modern warehouses were powerful enough to do it now. You did not need to separate the infrastructure. You didn't need to manage Python scripts or deploy it from Spark cluster or Airflow pipeline. Everything happened within your warehouse. And this is where DBT comes in. Now, I'll leave a link to this project down below and I'll talk about it at the end, but I'm going to take the data sets that are used in this project as an example. Where does DBT actually fit into this and what are we doing? So we're familiar with this now. On the left-hand side, we've got Fivetran, Airbyte, Stitch, and then we've also got our data warehouse, which in this case is BigQuery. These tools here pull data from our production systems, and then BigQuery or our data warehouse stores that data. Now, these raw tables here actually look something like this. So we can see we have a customers table with customer ID, email, registration date, country, tier. We've got an orders table here with the order ID, customer ID. We've got how much they spent. We've got their region. We've also got order items, the things like the order ID, the quantity, the price, and then we've lastly got a products table with the name of the product, the category, the price, the stock quantity, all in here. So these are our raw tables. Now, if you're working at a company and you want to see something like customer one's lifetime value, so what is the total amount that customer one has spent, you would need to actually join all four of these tables together and aggregate them to calculate these metrics. So this is where DBT comes in. What DBT is going to do is it's going to read this SQL file. Now, this SQL file is called customeranalytics.sql, and this SQL defines the transformation logic that we're going to use. So you can see that it's actually broken out into three distinct sections here. These are called CTEs, or common table expressions. And I'd think of a CTE basically as a temporary result set. So you can break up complex queries into smaller steps, and each step builds upon the last one, and this makes it easier to query, read, and debug in the long run. So our first CTE here is customer orders. This joins the customers and the orders table that we saw before, and it aggregates data per customer. So you can see it counts distinct order IDs as total orders, sums the total order amount as their lifetime value, and so on. The second CTE that we got is product preferences. This calculates how much was spent in each category order, and you can see here the sum of the quantity times the price equals the category spend. And then we've got our third and final CTE, which is top category customer, and this ranks categories by total spending. And then finally, select here, this just combines everything. So it pulls from customer orders and it joins top category per customer to get a favorite category. Now, we save this as a customeranalytics.sql file, and the second step is that DBT actually goes ahead and reads this SQL. The difference is DBT is running on a computer or a server and not inside BigQuery here. It reads the SQL from the file. Third step is that DBT sends this query to BigQuery. So DBT takes that SQL query and it sends it to BigQuery, the data warehouse here. BigQuery then receives that query, it executes it inside the warehouse. Essentially, BigQuery is going to read those raw tables and then run the joins needed, run the aggregations, run the calculations, so that we get this new clean table, which here we've called customer analytics. Now you can see this table here has one row for each customer. And in here, we can see things like the summation of their total orders, their lifetime value, their first order date, their last order date. We can see their favorite categories, the days since registration, their lifetime span, their segments. This table lives inside BigQuery. So we actually have the clean tables in here, and we also have those raw tables inside BigQuery. Then finally, this table can be served to something like a Power BI. So if an analyst wants to see the lifetime value of customers from the Netherlands, they can go ahead and do that with the clean data. It is much easier to build dashboards here when you have a clean data set. Now, the key thing to understand here is that dbt actually orchestrates from the outside, but the transformation happens inside the warehouse here. And you might be thinking, I could just write this SQL query myself and then run it inside BigQuery. Why would I need dbt? And you were right, you could do that, but dbt actually adds 4 things that makes it a lot more powerful. So let's take a look at those. Now, dbt has 4 core parts that make it powerful. The first of which is transformations in code. So we kind of already saw this in our customer analytics.sql file. Our transformation logic is in this file, and this actually really matters. Now, the old way, you might open up the BigQuery console, write a query, you run it, and it creates a table, but then the query just disappears. I mean, it gets lost. I do this all the time, to be honest. 2 weeks later, someone's going to ask you, how did we calculate lifetime value? And you have no idea. You have to reverse engineer it from the table. Now, with dbt, the transformation logic lives in a single file, this customer analytics.sql file. Anyone can open it, see how exactly lifetime value is calculated, and our business logic is documented in code and not buried in someone's head. Now, the second way is test as you build. Now, you can define tests in the schema.yml file, and dbt is going to run these tests after your model runs. If you update the model and accidentally create duplicate customer IDs, for example, the unique test that we create is going to catch it. If the test fails, we can actually fix it before it reaches production. This is covered in the hands-on project, so I'd recommend doing this to actually get an idea of what it looks like. Third benefit is document and share context. dbt actually automatically generates documentation here, and so things like the model name, the description, the metadata, and this feature is called lineage. dbt shows you what feeds into this model and what actually depends on it. So when someone wants to change the orders table, you can look at the lineage and you can see custom analytics and product analytics actually read both from the orders table, so you know exactly what to update. And the last one is, of course, version control all of our logic. As our models are in code, we can use Git, you can add in customer segmentation, you can create branches, update the SQL, open a pull request, review your teammates. It's super, super valuable. Hopefully we all know how important Git is, but this just helps make everything a lot smoother. These are the basics that you need to know about dbt, but as I said, I'd recommend doing this project. We actually go step by step, hands-on. You don't need any experience. You're going to go through all of this in more detail. Plus, at the end, you actually get documentation that you can then share to your LinkedIn or GitHub or showcase to any recruiters. Let me know what you guys think about dbt, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.